You are going to love my guest today on the Upside Podcast. And even more than that, his accent is going to keep you on your toes. Welcome to the Upside, where we help you get unstuck in life and business by elevating your thinking and provoking meaningful change from the inside out. Dick Licare.
Hey.
I am so happy to have you on with me.
It's an honor to be here, really, truly.
And you're obviously not from Texas. We're just going to talk about I've never had anyone on with a Bostonian accent before. So I feel like we've gone super cultural now on the Upside.
Well, you met me really when I had an accent, 20 years ago.
You still have an accent, just so you know.
Now I get the Southern.
You think it's less than it was?
No.
Okay.
No. No, because I talk to the boys every day, and people, I say the boys, I coached high school basketball up there for almost 30 years, and in family, nobody moves.
Yeah.
I went to kindergarten with your sister. Yeah,
kindergarten.
Yeah.
Kindergarten.
Uh-huh.
So we met back in probably 2000. When did you become the team leader at Keller Williams Allen?
I became the team leader in Keller Williams Allen in 2010.
In 2010. So at that time, I was working for First American Home Warranty, and you were absolutely one of my favorite team leaders because you were so great to me. And there are several key leaders throughout all of Dallas-Fort Worth that treated me amazing when I was a home warranty rep. And you were one of those people, opened a lot of doors for me, created a lot of opportunities. You're now the owner of 4 Keller Williams offices. And you're truly one of the best leaders, in my opinion, and many people's opinion, in our company. And so you've had quite a journey, though.
I want to go back to you for a minute on this because we were talking about today. You want to talk about leadership and some different things, and I'll bring you back a little bit on your story because of us meeting. It was a little bit impactful at the time. We were both, say, vendors with Keller Williams because I was fancy title, lousy job, head of X Mortgage in charge of joint ventures across the Southwest. I had moved from Boston, and 15 or so of my offices were Keller Williams offices. Mm-hmm. That's when I started kind of going to the Keller Williams stuff, and I said, oh, man, something's a little different about this.
Yeah. It is interesting seeing it from the vendor world because you see it all and there's just something special across every office.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know whether it was just people are nice. Is that because I'm in Texas? Is that a cultural thing or if people are nice? And then we get to know each other a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I had the opportunity through Brett Caldwell, through Susan Hubeck, to interview for the role and become the team leader of Allen. So now where you come into this is I immediately, when I got to Allen and kind of watched for a couple months, obviously, and saw what happened, and that is that you were the first vendor that I brought to Allen, They had their own list. And I said,
they did, because it was Flo's door to me at first.
It was Flo's door. And I said, no, Theresa's coming in and she's sponsoring this. A whole bunch of things. Yes. We're not bringing pizzas anymore. We're upgrading. I'm going to bring some people. And Theresa's coming in. You came in and I caught a lot of heat. And people said, we have a vendor list. And what was she doing there? And the vendor, and we know who she is, the vendor called me and said, hey, Theresa, it shouldn't be in there. I'm on the vendor list.
Trouble in a lot of offices.
Well, we found out that why it was impactful. We found out we had a vendor list that nobody had paid into for 2 years.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah. So it was good to have you in a lot.
Well, and I ended up making a lot of great relationships with your people, and then ended up being one of my top offices.
Yeah.
While I was there. So let's go all the way back to Boston though, because obviously you were born and raised.
I was born and raised north of the city. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then you were a high school basketball coach for 30 years.
Yes.
The math doesn't seem to math. You're aging well.
Thank you. I'm aging. It's a thing, but I became a high school basketball coach at 22. Varsity high school basketball coach. I got an opportunity to do that. So I did that for 28 years until I was turning 50.
So what did you learn about leadership, about coaching in that arena? How did that translate to business coaching and business leadership?
Well, I learned right away that there were some people that were doing it at a high level. And the names like John Wooden, Bobby Knight, Dean Smith, and Allie McGuire, and then a little later, a guy named Phil Jackson. And these were all great coaches who wrote about it, who shared what they did, and then so you got to always learn. And my dad was a coach. So I grew up around coaches, and that was kind of my world. So it was fun to become learning based right at the very beginning, and to kind of copy what people were doing and what worked, and then focusing on the people was fun.
What makes a great coach?
I tell you, I had some years where I thought I really coached good, but I got the most awards when I had great players. You know, so, you know, that goes back to what we talk about in real estate office and stuff like that, is that, you know, everything seems to work better with talented people around you. So I learned that, certainly. I learned that from coaching. I think the biggest lesson, if you go back to the lesson I learned, it would be around, I watched a lot of coaches who had great systems, and they really had good systems. They ran the same offense every year, and X went to Y, and this guy, and they picked, and everything was the same every year. And they put players into places. And I'm not saying that was bad, but then I started studying coaches who said, okay, well, let me look at what I have for players and build it around that style. Like, for example, simple terms, I guess, if I had kids that could shoot from the outside, let's set some picks and get them open for some outside shots. If I had big kids, let's throw it underneath and change it up. And I kind of enjoyed that with that whole system that I learned of, don't be so rigid, find the talent and then build around the talent, the position around it.
I love that. And so when you were recruiting then, did you recruit for certain strengths?
It was high school, so there wasn't recruiting.
It wasn't recruiting, that's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were kind of stuck with what you got. So I see that then, right? As far as looking at what the talent that the player has and then build your program around that. Start with who?
Well, the players. I mean, you start with who you have. And, and that's the beauty. You couldn't go recruit to it. You had to develop. You molded every year a little bit, and then try to get a system. And then the only thing that's consistent back then is that, you know, you're going to tuck your shirt and you're not going to get technicals. You're going to play like a team, and here's how teams play, and that never changes. Yeah.
So, Who was the most influential coach that you learned from, and what did you learn?
Well, of course, my dad, because I lived.
What did you learn from him?
Yeah, hey, do what has to be done. You know, something he'd say all the time, do what has to be done. He has great focus. He's 97. He's living with me now.
Oh, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, there's some lessons to be learned there.
Yes.
So, you know, do what has to be done. Like I said, he got me. Yeah. So, this lesson I'm learning every day, you know, the stuff that we're picking up. It's like, you know, I learn to stay learning based.
I love that. Which requires humility, right? To keep learning, I think, through all stages. And when you become successful, to continue to be learning based. Yeah.
That comes with age a little too, I think. You take enough hits, and then you realize, you know, which all my, 4 kids and 8 grandkids and 3 for 3 with son. Life is good, you know, and but which hopefully they all know is that it's not what happens to you; it's kind of how you react to what happens to you. And
I love that.
Yeah.
I think you realize too, as time goes on, you're never as bad as your worst day, and you're never as good as your best day, which keeps you humble and also keeps you okay through it all. There's the bumps and the shifts and all of the things. Okay, so then you moved to Texas. Texas. You were in mortgage at the time when you moved to Texas.
I had always been in real estate.
Okay.
And I was coaching basketball. That's what I cared about, my $1,500 a year job, you know, and that took up my time. So I was looking for something to do on the side.
Okay.
And I had some great, I had a great group of real estate, you know, always doing a little having fun with it.
Yeah,
you know, I was blowing up balloons at sales meetings way back in the 80s, throwing dots at the things and and stuff. And then I really learned my lesson. I decided that I didn't want to work Sundays, so I went into the mortgage side and worked for a bank, for a couple of years before mortgage companies. Then there was mortgage companies, so I opened one, and I had a superstar group. I had the best of the best mortgages, and we did so much volume, which made me get the best of the best underwriters and the best of the best processes, because
the talent attracted the talent.
Talent demands talent.
Yeah.
At some level, and then you to lead that and to watch that. And I learned so much from that group. I learned so much from that. And then from there, I used it to move here. I sold my mortgage company to the Bank of New England and then moved to Texas.
So why did a Bostonian want to become a Texan? Or are you actually Texan now? Or are you still?
They never let you in. They never.
Yeah, we are kind of like
unless
that.
You're born.
I wasn't born here either.
You're not really that. Someone won't let you in.
Florida.
Yeah.
But I came here when I was 4, so.
That counts for. That's like my young.
And I married a true Texan.
Yeah. No, they don't really let you in. I love being in Texas, because this year I've been here. It's an interesting year. I've been here 20 years.
Nice.
In Texas. Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. But I moved basically. My wife at the time, Deborah, was from here, and so it was time. My oldest was graduating high school, and my youngest kids, the three of them, the oldest was in the 5th grade, I believe. So it was a good time to do it. And I got more nervous about not moving than I did about moving.
Oh, okay. Tell me about that. What do you mean by that? Why?
Because I was, I guess for a lot of people, you call it the halfway point. I was 49 going on 50, and I had gone to high school in this little high school north of Boston, which was great, a great high school, great fun, great success athletically as a team, won some state championships and stuff. And then I went to college in the next town over, Merrimack College. I went to college the next town over. Even though I stayed there, it was literally 2 miles from my house. And then I got a coaching job at the next town over in the city, in the next town over in Lawrence, Massachusetts. And I was kind of in this little 5-mile circle. And I traveled here and there and had some fun and had a great life. I mean, there was no complaints. It was great. But by the end, everybody knows you. And sometimes they remember you, again, maybe at your not so good moments. And, whatever it is. Or they don't want to talk about a certain moment or something like this. And then somewhere along the line, I was fortunate enough to really put some faith in my life. Then you change when you do that. You become a little bit of a different person.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just had to change in the same environment.
Right. So it was a reinvention.
I don't know. It was a move. And it was a move, and I moved to Allen and found it, just came down and explored and ended in Allen and ended up at Dallas Preston Road regionally because I thought I wanted to get away from where everybody knew me. And I did. I just wanted to go to work and come back and everybody knows your name. I'm tired of everybody knowing my name.
Yeah.
So and then going through the KPA at the time, the ABA process with Susan, I realized that the team leader role, that was a really good fit for me. It was kind of like coaching, and it kept rolling. And then I didn't realize what an awesome, fun role that was,
So you did that role for how many years?
11.
You did that role for 11 years, which is incredible. And I think one of the things that you have done as well as anybody, the best of the best, is you've developed your top people. You've provided value. You've gotten into relationship with your top people. What is your philosophy on people development? What does that mean to you? How did you do that just in a practical way?
Well, I'm not sure I did any people development, because I got top people, and they're already developed. So it's almost like people acceptance, and then, they have their gig, their top people. But I think it goes down to having some standards in that we keep score.
Yeah.
We keep score. I've gone to 4 different offices now, and each office hasn't kept score. They give awards for most this and most that, but gross commission income, what you're making to the agent, what you made on commission income, GCI, as we know, gross commission income, we keep score. We put it out every month, and we keep scoring. There's credibility to the people that are on that list. If you make it a credible list and not just a list, the way you make it credible is there's some responsibility with being on that list. Hey, how about you come in and teach? And how about you be on the ALC? And how about you come to the sales meeting? So then it starts a whole cycle. First of all, if they're going to come to your office or anything, top people, you got to be sharp.
Yeah.
You got to have a good onboarding.
Yeah.
They raise everybody's game.
That's right.
They raise everybody. So you got to be ready for that, And then when you have somebody, I think if you ask me if there's a secret, it's not a secret. I truly appreciate my top people. I don't know, like it's really that they took a chance. Like I go back to Christine Downing, the first mega agent, took a chance. Never mind the ones in Allen that stayed,
Yeah.
But they took a chance in that what I was saying, hey, well, this is going to be cool. We're going to have some healthy competition. And you create that environment where come on and show up to come to the sales meeting tomorrow. We want to talk about the market. And then sometimes it takes, being at the sales meeting and saying, hey, if you're a new agent, I want to hear everything you have to say in about a year.
Yeah.
Until then,
yeah.
Because and people think that you're doing that for the new agents. You're doing that for the top agents. They don't want to come listen to some dude tell them what they need to do and what he's going to do and stuff. You know? It's a time to learn. So now you see a top agent and you engage with them and you call on them and they feel that you appreciate them and they appreciate you back. I think it creates a little bit of a culture, and we were able to do that at Allen and now across the mountain. We want to be a place where top agents hang, or people who want to be top agents.
Yeah.
So
just elevating the standards.
I don't know if it's just having them the same for everybody. I mean, and you're a team leader. It's hard. You walk into an office, who's got a special deal? Who doesn't want to pay their office this portion of their office bill because of something they're not using, even though they have to? And it's so easy to say, hey, just don't pay it, or whatever it is, you know. And you just gotta, it makes everything easy. I say it was the greatest recruiting. Not that I recruited a lot, my numbers were never big, well documented. But when you had the opportunity to say to new leads, here's the, here's what these people are making. Here's a training calendar. Here's what they're coming to.
Yeah.
So you want to make this, come to this. Yeah, come to this, press hard 4 copies. How much does it cost? What do I don't know, but every one of these people are paying it, and they're all paying the same thing, and they're all good business people. So,
yeah, makes decision-making easy, and you have those standards.
When you have people doing it, and buying into it. So I kind of rambled there.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about standards with the people that you're leading, maybe your teams that you're, employing and leading. What do you think the difference is between a standard and a goal? And how do you hold the line on accountability for standards with your team?
Well, I try never to draw lines in the sand. It was kind of like when I was coaching. Don't do anything that would be an embarrassment to you or the school or the team. And we'll kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
Leaves a lot of gray area because everybody's circumstance is different. Not who complains much. Everybody's circumstance is different. Sometimes having standards for people is difficult. For whatever that means, to say, hey, this is how you're going to dress, or this is how, especially in this day and age, this is what you're going to say, here's what you probably shouldn't post, and you try to talk common sense into people if there's a
Are you getting tricks on that?
No, listen, I know that the mindset is that, hey, do you understand what you're doing when you're posting? I mean, it's rational, it's logical, but people aren't going to get it.
Yeah.
And that's the forum. And, I guess as Mel Robbins would say, let them. They'll let me. So what do I want to do?
Right.
And then, hey, it might be a conversation, but it's never, I think you back yourself into a corner when you say you can never post anything like this again, because then who's the judge? Because then you say, did you see what they posted? And someone else, oh, that wasn't that bad. So I know I got off track a little on that, but it's not kind of rules. It's just like, there's a standard, there's a punctuality standard. Meeting started at 8:30. That doesn't mean 8:31. You're going to 1 minute yourself out of a job.
Yeah.
There's standards for what team you're on. If you're on, say, Ryan Cave's team, you're going to come into work in the morning and you're going to stay there all day and you're going to work, and that's your job, and go out and have a show and come back. If you're in somebody's team, maybe the standard is you take bowl together, or maybe the standard is you show up to lead generating script practice for a couple hours. Everybody sets their own standards, but what you set, you kind of got to stick to if it's important.
Yeah. So do you think that having a close relationship with the people you lead makes it easier or harder to hold people accountable?
I don't know. I mean, you have honest relationships. You know? I think that you can seek first to understand with those people, and you get them a little bit, and they get you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just having that open conversation. I mean, to a fault, white people can tell me anything.
I mean, you are known for being pretty direct. I think that's very much your personality, to be very direct. You're not going to mince words. You're not going to tiptoe around things. You're also known for being, I think, relational and caring.
I back into it, though, because I can't.
Yeah, how do you draw?
I'm not like, warm and fuzzy.
Right.
I want to hang out with him.
Yeah.
I don't get that. So you have to bring value. And then, there's a guy, he believes in this or whatever, and then you kind of back into, and you can't say, or I do never say, hey, trust me, or hey, this and that, because trust, it has to be earned over time, And then I learned coming here that, I moved across the country at 50, and that's when I found out I had an accent.
You do?
Yes.
We do too.
Yeah.
In all fairness to you, if we go there, they're going to think we have an accent.
My challenge I've learned is that everybody sounds the same to me, so I don't even hear it. It's like my Theresa will say, like with dancing, don't you hear the beat?
Yeah. No?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Does every song have a beat? But I don't hear the difference as much, other than words as much as I should. But you come all of a sudden to the things that sometimes you stay up at night and you're looking at the ceiling and you're going, man, I just took this job and I had 90 agents, and now it's 3 months later and I have 62. And I'm not a young kid coaching high school basketball, and now I'm 50. Now I sound a little bit funny. And it's, whoa, wait a minute. You start to wonder, can I do even the name? Not a common name, Dick Licare, Richard's what, so it's like you, all of a sudden you have a little bit of insecurity.
Yeah.
So that's always interesting to have at a later age.
Which I think we assume that all insecurities ends when we get past high school or middle school, and then we become adults and we realize that those things are something that we have to consistently overcome, I think, at every stage. So how did you overcome that, or how did you get through that?
I don't know. I think you just kind of dig in a little bit, and then you realize that it's fear. At some level, it's afraid of maybe a reaction or a I started saying it like a text. I stopped saying the word car. Instead, I said it like a Texas vehicle. That's like 12 syllables in Texas, isn't it?
That's funny.
It's you change.
You adapt a little bit.
Yeah, you adapt a little bit, and then at some point you say screw it.
It's funny because my parents were from Minnesota, and so we moved here when I was 4. So there's a few key words. I don't talk like a Minnesotan. My parents have a remnant of an accent now, but we didn't call it soda or Coke. We called it pop. We said aunt, not aunt. And very quickly, as a young child, though, I changed, and I at home I would say pop or I would say aunt. My aunts, I would say Aunt Sandy. And then around my friends, I would call them my aunt. Or a Coke or a soda. And I think it's interesting just how we desire to kind of assimilate and to fit in, and to how little things like that can really make a huge difference, right? And just whether we're young or we're older, I think. It's all kind of that same human nature.
And then you just have to say, okay, what do I have to do to fight through this? Like, what am I gonna do? You know?
And yet it makes you memorable, unique.
If you go that, you got to decide to go that way a little bit and say, yes, I can't change it. I tried to, it didn't work, you know? And then, I remember when I decided that maybe I talk a little funny, and I was out with one of my boys back home, Smitty, who I actually opened the real estate office with in 1982.
Oh my goodness.
And he said something, and I mimicked it and made fun of him. And he just looked at me and he said, what are you, blurp now?
You didn't mimic him again.
So I decided, no, I don't think we're going to change anyway. I'm not going to change. So
I love it. Okay, so let's, what's something you believed about leadership for years, or about coaching or people development, that you think differently about now? That you would say, I thought this in the past, I was bought in this way, or I led this way, now I've changed.
Well, I think the biggest change for me, work-wise, I remember basketball-wise, I remember saying when I started coaching way back when, and I said, if you work hard, they'll come. If you work hard, you'll get a following. People will come and see you. And if you work hard, you'll get a following. People come and see you. And that was wrong. They're not coming to you winning. You saw. They're not coming to you winning. But then it's funny, because then if you work hard, sooner or later you start winning, you know. But so
the equation.
It's just, it's invite. So that goes back to the better players and stuff like that. But I think that I realized along the way, you know, I realized I haven't had an original thought in 20 years since, you know, so like you just keep copying people. But I think a lot with the 12-week year, finding that book, I forget what it was. Great books.
Great model.
But I realized that you can't hold anybody accountable. You can't hold anybody accountable. People can only hold themselves accountable. So I stopped saying, you know, coach is an accountable, you know, I may be an accountability partner, but I don't hold anybody accountable. And then I think what was a game changer for me as far as leading and teaching and coaching people was the 4 disciplines of execution, 4DX. Okay, Stephen Covey book by Mark McKenzie. And basically meaning that on a regular basis, you get people's commitment. Their commitment on what they're going to do in a given week, in a given month, whatever, and not a lag measure, not what already happened. What are they going to do? In real estate, it's always the same. The commitment is around appointments. How many appointments are you going to go on this week, you know? And then that becomes leading and coaching easy, because by the end of the week, next week, okay, you said you were going to go on 4. How many did you go on? 2. Okay, that's great. Tell me about those 2. And then there's a coaching opportunity where you told me you wanted to go on 4, which of course you connect the buttons, meaning, you know, to connect the dots. I mean, you told me you want to go on 4 because you want to go on 4 because you want to make X amount of money a year. And you want to make X amount of money a year because you want to put kids through college, pay off that travel, do something. You know, there's always the why. And it's never about the money. It's about what you're going to do with the money. You want to give it to charity, you want to whatever. And so you told me 4, and now you got 2. So, you know, how can we coach through that? What got in the way? You know, in our business and in most business, it's a weeds problem, you know, that you get stuck in the 20%, in the 80%.
Right.
You don't get to the stuff like, you know, how many times That's why I like the 12-week year, though I haven't got a couple of years. It's why. But how many times do you finish a week of work and you say, man, I worked this week. I showed up this week.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was there and I was doing stuff. It wasn't like I was just hiding. But at the end of the week, what did I really get done? Like, did I really get done the stuff I need to get done?
Did I move the needle?
Stuff that moved the needle. And I think that's everybody's challenge.
So the 12-week year, if you're listening to this and you're unfamiliar, a 12-week year is a goal-setting model that basically takes you from setting annual goals into setting 12-week goals.
3 years to 12 weeks.
Yes.
I don't think he does the annual. I think he skips annual. Does he do annual?
I think it's just a 5-year goal, right? Isn't it 3-year or 5-year?
3-year, and then he goes to 12 weeks.
Yes. So you're skipping the annual setting. And so you're running sprints. Essentially, you're stacking sprints on top of each other as opposed to looking at your goal setting for an entire year. So you're able to really say, okay, you're getting more done in less time because you're compressing time and getting hyper-focused on 1 or 2 things as opposed to a whole list of maybe 12 things that you'd be setting for the year. So I've read 12-week year, I've coached around 12-week year, and I've done some quarterly goal setting. I don't run the model perfectly. I do think it is an effective way, though.
It's great for the procrastinator.
Yes.
Who say?
Because then everything is right at the end.
Yes.
You're constantly you're constantly needing to create that urgency.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the leadership around commitments, and then we can go from there. You know, I like to read, and I know you like to read and things, but it's kind of like I was teaching at a market center a couple of weeks ago, and using AI, I said, okay, take Gary Keller's moving from E to P, from entrepreneurial to purposeful,
right?
And to break through that line that he has, to break through that line, you have to have models and systems and something to go. Or you just entrepreneurial. You're going to hit a wall at some point and right. So I said, take Gary Keller's E to P model and make the line represent Rory Vaden's commitment line from taking the stairs.
Yes.
And there's that commitment line. In that, that's the thing I think that what are you really committed to? Like back to setting up on what are you committed? So it's almost like you ask the question between what's the difference between standards and goals.
Yeah.
Kind of. Well, I didn't answer it because I guess the thing is like, it's about what are you committed to? Like, what are you really committed to that you're going to do it? Like that to me is a commitment more than a goal, like I'm committed to, I have to do X, all right? Or, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to X.
Yeah.
With integrity, all that stuff. Right. Whatever it takes to get to X. Now, my goal is to get to here. And there's just a different sense of urgency on that line. You approach life differently when you have something that you're totally committed to. And it needs to be tied into the big why, or it just...
Or it's matter.
Yes.
Why are we even doing this?
Uh-huh.
Well, commitment to me is shows up as consistency. Do we know we're committed is when we're consistent with it. If we're lacking the consistency, the internal problem is a commitment issue. Yeah.
I have, but then you everything goes back to the personal life because everything crosses over.
Yeah.
It's like with me personally, and again, back to reading, somebody gave me the morning book.
Miracle Morning?
Thank you. Miracle Morning. They actually gave me the Miracle Morning for Realtors.
Yes.
And it's funny when you get a book like that and you check and there's about 2 million people that have read this, but that book to me was another one of those game changers because if my mornings aren't good, I stink.
Yeah, me too.
Then I have those weeks that I didn't get done. I showed up, but if my morning, and you have to find your time. I'm not saying it's morning. For me, it means it's 5 a.m. And I'm telling you, like 4:30 is definitely early for me. But I see so many people doing it. But 5 a.m. and start my day and start it purposeful, coming from gratitude, and reading a little bit of the book and, and then getting the workout in. Yep. And then my day starts and it's all about, you said consistency, but so much of life is about routine. Mm-hmm. Because like with me, I can't, like if I say I'm going to work out and I look at my calendar, I say, okay, I can do tomorrow morning, I can do Wednesday afternoon, or if I figure it, that's never happening.
Right.
Like it's never.
It's all over the place. Yeah.
Yes, all work, vices, too many distractions,
Yep.
you know? So if it's like everything, if I don't get it done in the morning, it's not going to get done. And then as you, again, start to proceed a little bit in the age group, well, if I'm going to get up at 5, well, I got to get to bed at a decent hour, you know. And then if I get to bed at a decent hour, I might as well eat a little, you know. And you try to get a strong.
On your 5 p.m. at Luby's.
Yeah.
Kidding.
Why? Is there a problem with that?
No.
No.
Like all for and I just because I'm an early riser. I've always been a fairly early riser, but I'm a big believer in the morning routine, which means I go to bed early. Mm-hmm. And now my girls are 14, so they tuck me into bed, not the other way around. And I like to eat early too. My family's not hungry yet. Part of it though is I want all the dishes, I want everything done so I can just chill. So yeah, I'd eat at 5 p.m. too if I could.
I bet you guys have a good routine going. I bet you have a good system.
We do. I think we have a good rhythm. I call it a rhythm. And not every season is exactly the same. Had the last 2 months for our family has been crazy between theater and track and basketball, like all converging. Our rhythms got a little bit off.
Yeah.
And you can feel that. I can feel that in every area of my life when our rhythms get a little bit off. We're eating out more or we're staying up later. All of those rhythms change, but kind of just getting back into sync.
Yes.
Is just so important. But then also a little grace for different seasons. Right?
Absolutely. Sync changes a little bit.
But
got to be flexible.
Still committed regardless. My mornings I was getting up. Mm-hmm. Even if I was getting to bed later, even if I wasn't feeling like it, workout might not be as intense. Mm-hmm. But the commitment is I'm still getting out of bed. Yeah.
I've always was an early riser also, even through college and everything, even after maybe a strong night. I was an early morning guy.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think back in not a regretful way or anything, but in a smiling way, I think back of the times I wasted in the morning.
Yeah.
Like just looking for something to do and there's nothing to do. Everybody's sleeping and just like, like just kind of walking around, even campus, like, well, you know, and that would have been I could have accomplished more in those times, but it's good. It's good now to put it together.
It all stacks up. It doesn't have to be 3 hours. It just stack 10 minutes every day, stack 15 minutes, stack 30. It does add up. Okay. Best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Whoa.
I mean, it's a pretty broad question, but maybe leadership
Best
advice.
Piece of advice.
Life advice.
No one ever regrets taking the high road.
It's good.
I mean, the best of everything with me, and not preach the best of everything is, is finding God and turning it over and all that. You know? Not to end all that downplaying, but to have a plan and to have some rules to follow and to dig into that and have a partner. Mm-hmm. It's an very easy partner. You should, 10% of the gross. Now do your job and come up with a game plan.
Yeah.
So I get into the partnership. But other than that, taking the high road, I mean, I think that, people in real estate a lot where it can be emotional is sometimes you wish you just stopped before we thought.
Yeah.
Take a night. Like you didn't have to say that. You didn't have to do that,
Breathe.
Yes. And take a minute to do that. And I've been good in that I'm not judgmental because I don't want to be judging me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that being said, I think that if you take the high road, I had someone say that to me 7 years ago, actually, when I was going through the divorce. And said nobody ever regrets taking the high road.
That's good.
And it's amazing now the great relationships I have from that time still, and with the people and of course the kids and all that. But no one ever regrets taking the high road. That's incredible.
I love that. That was a good one. Okay, so you've mentioned a couple books that have been influential in your growth, in your leadership. But what are you reading right now or this year? What's the most recent book you've read that you think should be on everybody's reading list for this year?
Well, I think, reading has always been good for me, right? Yeah. Back when, again, Phil Jackson, I don't know if you know who that is. Coach language.
Believe it or not, I do.
The Zen.
Yes, I do.
He was giving players books to read. Wholly different than, say, a Bobby Knight, who, fundamental stuff like the Zen stuff. And I would have said, if you asked me 2 years ago when I read it for the first time, Atomic Habits. And forget about it.
Great book.
There's a reason why that was the #1 best-selling book ever in like 5 years.
Yep.
And I Let Them by Mel Robbins. I mean, right now when I'm reading, I always have a Kindle in the car, like earlier.
Yes.
Right now I'm reading, and my sister sent me a book and put it as her favorite book ever. My daughter Sarah, loves it. Yeah, it's
amazing.
And my girls are reading a little bit is Theo of Golden. Have you read that?
No, but I keep seeing about it. It's a novel, right?
It's a novel, yes.
Okay. I thought about reading it on vacation, then I stuck to my junky crime drama stuff.
Yeah, no, I travel the world fighting espionage and terrorism with my Mitch Raps, and then I walk the streets with Reacher, and I have all.
I know that's my vacation reading.
Yeah, but I guess for that's fun.
Okay, so I'm going to read Theo of Golden because I keep seeing it, so now that's confirmed that I'm going to pick that one up.
I'll be done within the next couple of days. I'll give you my thumbs up or thumbs down.
Okay, very good.
Dana Gentry's book was impactful.
Yeah,
like that.
Yes.
And she put me on a book 10 times is easier than 2 times.
Yes.
So that was my most impactful book because that makes you take something and say, maybe like from a personal level, what you're doing in Allen, maybe you can grow that. And maybe instead of just having something that is good and small and tight that you feel good going to and stuff like that, if you take some of the basic philosophies of like treating people right, and no one ever yells at anybody in my world, like it's go ahead, and treating people right and having some fun, having laughs. I crack myself up as messing with people and having some fun, and then they're happy in their job and they're talented, and then that's part of the office staff and the people, and then agents the same way, and they attract agents, and then you can have a little community of people who want to achieve and a high level. It sounds utopian, and there's always challenges, of course, with it. But I think that if you roll with that as the game plan, then that came from 10 times easier than 2 times, which leads to Who Not How, which they always lead to another one. Rory Baden's Take the Stairs.
Yeah, so good. Yep.
Yeah.
I love that book.
What are you reading right now?
Well, we just finished our Q2 book as an ALC. We read Story Brand by Donald Miller. And then we're about to pick up The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek is the next one that I'm going to read with our leaders, which I believe I've read that before, but it's been a couple years. And
tough read. Your husband put me on that one.
Okay. So I think it's been a few years since I've read it. And so we're going to read that one as a leadership team. So, and I have a couple others that are sitting kind of on my shelf that I need to pick up. Sahil Bloom's book is on my reading list. And then I had one that Michelle Ozimi referred to me about writing because I need to, that's one of my focuses for this year is increasing my writing skills.
Nice. Well, the book that you just read with the ALC.
Yes, Story Brand.
Yes.
By Donald Miller.
So, the crazy Italian loyalty and stuff. I don't want, I'm not reading that because I feel like I'm cheating on Rory Baden. Oh. It just is. So, because that's about Brandy. So, the difference in those, like what would be?
So Rory Baden, Wealthy and Well-Known would be his most common branding book. And I read that one before I read Story Brand.
Did you read Take the Stairs?
I did read Take the Stairs.
Yeah.
We did that as a huddle book actually last year. And Procrastinate on Purpose by Rory Vaden. So those 2 books are very different. Those are more productivity books, mindset, time management, if you will, self-management books. Wealthy and Well-Known is more of a broad book on building your personal brand, in my opinion, versus Story Brand is very tactical. So I think they go really well together because nothing contradicts, very much the same kind of idea of knowing who your ideal client is, what problem are you solving, get hyper-specific on that problem. Donald Miller's Story Brand is probably a little bit more tactical, whereas Wealthy and Well-Known to me is a little bit more theoretical. I think both are really, really good.
Yes. All right, good.
So I don't think you'd be cheating on them.
And you're going to start writing. What are you going to do with that? Like, what?
Hey, this is my podcast.
Oh,
yeah, no.
I wanted to know more. No, I think everybody gets inspired by you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
No, truly. And you have a following group, and you always seem very purposeful about what you're doing. You do it with a smile, and you jump into leadership. So,
yeah. So I don't know.
How long have you been a team leader now?
A long time, 10 years.
10 years.
As a team leader, and then I was 3 years as assistant team leader before that.
Yeah.
So, a hot minute.
Well, it takes 5 just to.
It does, and
to get it.
So much change, disruption in our industry. There's new competition always. So I feel like you're constantly learning, and I think so many times boredom is mistaken for burnout. And so if we keep learning, keep growing, it keeps that burnout at bay because we keep the boredom at bay when we're learning and growing. So
yeah, and then you deal with with real estate agents, you deal with the market of the moment.
Yes.
Instead of worrying about what's going to happen with this. And I get fascinated with my top agents. Again, I love top agents and what they're doing to be successful right now.
Yep.
And then they hit the moan and the groaning. But yeah, they can moan and groan too. And then here's how we're adjusting. What tweaks of
what do we control?
What do we now that houses are on the market for a little longer? Are we taking that opportunity to get a couple buyers out of that, to get a couple more listings, to really do that, to contact the database, to price things right, to be a professional?
Yeah.
Yes.
Always opportunity.
There's always opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you for this conversation. This has been so fun. You've got a great story. I just respect you a lot. I appreciate for just the opportunities you've given me personally and just the leadership you've been in our region and in our company. And so thank you.
Thank you.
Where can everybody follow you? On Instagram?
They can't. There's no follow. I'm not followable. I'm not followable right now. They can follow you.
At the Allen Market, you have to show up in person if you want to see.
I'm not there as
McKinney. You're all over the place.
Yes.
Well, you're the best. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Everybody, thank you for tuning in. As always, when you invest in your growth every single day, it will yield you great returns. Keep living on the upside.